All right, we are live. Hey, you guys, how you guys doing? My name is Donovan Sadiq. I am the Inland Empire Informer. As you guys see, if you've ever been to Moreno Valley, you're going to see a M on top of the mountain there, and it does not stand for Moreno Valley. That's how you actually know people who aren't really from here. That used to be Senior Hill from Moreno Valley High School, but the M was a lot lower. So, little history right there for you. But hashtag cut the damn check. And what we're saying is, you got these protests going on. And if you checked out my podcast, I talked about it earlier today. And they are laying to rest, or the last funeral for George Floyd was today, open casket, gold, beautiful casket. And Houston had a lot of love for them. They are very, to me, it looks like a close community because it seems like everybody knows each other down there in that area, the Third Ward, where Mr. Floyd is from. So big ups to Houston. You know, they keep shattering these stereotypes that Black people don't stick together and, we don't know each other and all that other stuff. These guys go back, Yates High School. It seems like everybody that's from Yates supports Yates. You know what I mean? So big ups to Houston. They're kind of showing us, don't believe the hype of all the bullshit they keep putting out there. But you got these protesters going on. We're in the 13th or 14th day. And, the white kids are out there, the white folks are out there, the Hispanics are out there with us at the ground level. If you listen to my podcast, I mentioned that the Hispanic leadership in Congress was nowhere to be found during that Democratic charade of police reform. So we got an issue with that because when it comes to illegal people on the borders and DACA and the Dreamers, Black leadership is out on the front lines for the Hispanic. So I need my brown brothers and sisters to talk to their leadership and say, hey, this is a mutual thing. If they're going to do it for us, we need to do it for them. And at the grassroots level, you guys are there. So big up. So but we got to get these politicians in check because they're the ones that keep dividing us from each other. So I mentioned that on the thing. But what I'm saying by cut the damn check, you got to, what I don't understand is why are people so damn concerned about Black people not getting their money? Why don't you want us to have our money? The economic wealth gap is huge. It's going to take over 250 years for Black people even to catch up. The average white family makes $177,000. The average Black family makes $14,000 or less. We are less than 12 years from zero. Oh, well, they're going to spend it. So what? Not all of us. How do you explain a person like me? How do you explain a person like Demetra? How do you explain Colin Powell? That doesn't negate you not cutting the check. A good majority of white people get money and they buy meth, but you still get your money. Why does people who have an annual wealth of $177,000 need a stimulus check of $1,200? That didn't make any sense to me. You know why? To keep the wealth gap the way it is. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. I understand what's going on, but I want you guys to understand that. So stop worrying about our money. Stop counting our money. I've been explaining to people today that ask, the question that didn't know. They just want to know how the numbers would be. And, every time I give them a fact, they say, well, you can't exclude Caribbeans and people of, that descent. This is that. You know what? If you can prove your ADOS ancestry to 1870, you're in. You're in because you most likely were a slave or on the plantation. You're in. You get a check. But if you came here within if you came here after slavery, your family migrated here after slavery, and you got Black skin, you don't get a check. Okay? You don't get one. It's just that simple. So, they asked me the question. So I'm always answering the question. I'm getting tired of answering the question. A lot of these problems would not be happening if there wasn't such a big wealth gap. White people don't want us to get our money because now they're saying, how are we going to pay for it? That's trillions of dollars. How do you think a Black person feels when they get a speeding ticket or a bullshit ticket? That's $400 they don't have. How do you think we feel? And that was the problem in Ferguson. they kept putting all this bullshit on the black people and incarcerating them and stuff so they lose their jobs and stuff. Systematic racism. We are not going to sit here and continually keep telling you guys what is happening. You know what's going on. I'm talking to one of my Hispanic sisters right now, and she's telling me about how Mexico, got sold for pennies on the dollar and all this other stuff, right? But I told her, I said, that's the difference. You can tell me everything about your family history and your traditions. I can't do that. That was taken away from us. So we're on two different parallels. She was talking about like how, making it is an internal thing, and you got to, have the gumption and she's correct about all that. But my people, family has been destroyed. The families have been destroyed. The fathers aren't in the homes. The women are leading the homes. So how do you instill that if those components aren't there? So it goes deeper than just this one size fits all thing. If she was talking to an African, that would make sense because their culture is still intact. You talk to somebody from Nigeria that's in this country right now, they can tell you, yes, it goes back thousands of years and we do this and they can tell you. We're the only group, we can't tell you a damn thing because we don't know, because we're the only group that everything was taken from us systematically. Our identity was taken away. And until you guys understand that, you will never understand why we're saying cut the check. Hey, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to be on the War Zone. You guys, please tune in to the War Zone because we're going to be talking about it and catching up with the general and seeing what he's up to. He is back in Houston. He landed there late last night. The general's on the front line. So join me, Donovan Sadiq, the Inland Empire Informer, and Demetra Kay on the War Zone at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's in about 20 minutes. So I just wanted to get this thing out there. But I want you guys to understand, especially my Asian and, again, the biggest Asian Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam, Little Saigon, Orange County. How did they do that? The government gave them a stipend. They gave them loans. They did everything they did to set that community up. They won't do that for us. So you've got to really be in a Black person's shoes, an ADOS person's shoes to understand that. How can people migrate here of their own will and do better than people who've been here since day one? That's the question. Donovan Sadiq, the Inland Empire Informer. See you guys in about 20 minutes.